What do you know about the pogroms in Russia?
I know a little bit of what my parents told me, and also you can find information in history books about the pogroms. My mother lived in a little village in Ukraine, and when there was a pogrom, her neighbors who were Christian would hide my mother and her family so that they wouldn't be harmed. My father lived in a bigger city. He lived in Grodno in what is now Belarus. And one time he said he was warned by a policeman that there was going to be a pogrom. And so he ran back home, warned his family, and they hid out. And they survived the pogrom.
Moving on. How did the pogroms in Russia start, and why did they start?
The pogroms in Russia were part of a long history of intolerance that humanity has experienced. The Romans, for example, believed in many gods, so they were very suspicious of Jews who just believed in one God. And when people get suspicious, they get fearful and they strike out with violence. They did it with the Jews, then later with the Christians, and Christians did the same thing. They tried to eliminate Muslims and kill Muslims in the Crusades. And they also killed Jews because their beliefs were different. So what we have to learn is how to live with diversity and appreciate diversity rather than condemning it. Well, the Nazis killed more people because they had more control. So first, they killed people in Germany, and during the Second World War, as they invaded countries in Europe, they killed the people who were in those countries. First, they would bring all the Jews into what one neighborhood, which they called the ghetto, and would surround that with a wall or some way to confine people within those spaces. And they were overcrowded. They crowded a lot of people in. The conditions were terrible. They often not very sanitary. They didn't have enough food for people. Doctors didn't have medicine. And so if you got sick or if you were hungry, people died in the ghettos. And then after that, they rounded up people from the ghettos and brought them to either slave labor camps or other death camps, and killed them in those. Now, in near Kiev, that was the city my mother was closest to. They brought all the Jews together in a ghetto in Kiev, and then at one point they marched them out to a ravine in the outskirts called Baba Yar, and they just shot all the people there, and their bodies fell into the ravine,